Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have Breakup Podcast number 8, Long Distance Relationships. We're not going to just talk about long distance relationships, but one of the stories that I will unpack today, which every Breakup Podcast will be unpacking real stories from real breakups out there. And if you have a breakup story you want to share, send it into writemac.com, pay a small fee, and I'll talk about it on the live stream. But now we do have live calls that can come in during the podcast. We did it for the first time yesterday. We did a 5-hour marathon. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. We talked to a couple people from India, a couple people from the States. So if someone wants to get on deck or get in line for their story, we do take calls through Skype. It seems that Skype's one of the better platforms as far as clarity. And a lot of times people will go, oh, well, I want to use Zoom or I want to use this. Well, that's not convenient for me. So I think to stick to one thing such as Skype, because the clarity is really good, is what we're going to do. Otherwise, if you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, it's fine. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. And if you want to unpack your breakup story in a live coaching session with myself of 1 hour, 2 hours, that's also available to make an appointment today at writemac.com. That's the commercial. That's what we usually start with. So let's just put that right there. All right. So stories will be coming in, stories of different sorts, and that's what I'm going to lead with today is the stories I have on deck. I have 3. Like I said, one of them is a long distance. And the thing about long distance stories is there's always an expiration date. There's always someone that gets fooled or someone that gets left holding the bag is what I usually say. Because they're not ideal situations or relationships. They can work, but they don't work forever. And they certainly aren't one of those things that you want to continue on in the same way. And what happens is I think some people get comfortable with them. They get really comfortable with the idea that, oh, we talk every day and it's okay because we understand our situation and he's here for me, she's here for me. And then something happens and someone starts to go, yeah, I don't want to talk to you every night. And then, you know what? Someone stops missing that 9 p.m. regular Skype or FaceTime. And then someone starts to get suspicious. Then someone starts to get insecure. And it's just snowball effect. And it's actually inevitable. Now, the flip side, I have a former client right now that's in a full long distance relationship. And he said it's working for him. But the key is to have a finish line. So if you're in a long distance relationship and you have some kind of finish line where in a year even or 6 months, you're like, I'm going to move to your town, you're going to move to my town, and we're going to be back on deck. Then it can work because at least you're working towards something eventually living in the same town. If both of you keep putting it off, and I'd add, if both of you like where you live or you like your jobs and neither one wants to really give in, I mean, at some point it's not going to work. So you really have to take that into account. And I think that a lot of people assume that the other person will think like they think. They just assume like, well, they feel that I think this is a great situation. It's not a normal relationship in the sense of how humans evolved. We're social creatures. We like interaction. We like affection. We like human touch. And what's the point of being in a relationship to be on the phone all the time? Like I said, if it can be a sacrifice for a period of time, but for years, I just there's exceptions to the rule, but you're putting yourself in a bad situation. I would add that long distance relationships that start long distance relationships. So I've noticed this from the online dating scene. Someone meets someone from another country, someone meets someone from another state, and they start out that way. And so they go, oh, this is okay because we really get on well. We have long conversations. It's really nice. But it's like, you haven't met yet? I've literally had people that are hung up over someone they never even met in person, but they talk online for a year. Now, to me, you set yourself up for disaster right there because you're investing a lot of time, right? You're investing a lot of time in someone you haven't even met in person. And even if you're doing FaceTime, it's really them, it's a video. You're not getting catfished is the term now, where you're getting fooled. It's not a good place to start your relationship. Now, if you start your relationship as being in person in the same town, and it transpires into someone getting a job somewhere else or having to go away to school, I think that you deserve to give the relationship a shot. The odds are against you staying together. But the fact that you've been together for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and it's been really good, and someone's really perplexed by the idea that they can't pass up this job or opportunity, that's a situation where you might want to try. But the thing is, when you try, if it's 2 months, 3 months down the road and you go, this is just not working, I don't like it, I don't like interacting this way, well, then you need to be honest with yourself, and life's too short to waste your time on the phone in a semi-serious relationship, and you need to abort. You need to bail on that and move forward, because like I said, I don't think cavemen, Neanderthals, and the way humans evolved, I don't even think people in the wild, like if you look at wild animals, I don't think they have long distance relationships. It's not like some cat meets some other cat in an alley and goes, hey, I'm going to move for 2 years. Maybe we can communicate and keep in contact. Do you ever think about that? Human beings are the only people that actually do probably long distance relationships. I guess they have like zoos, right? Different zoos breed different animals, and then they would bring in like a monkey or a tiger from somewhere else, and then let them breed, and then they ship them out. But I guess that wouldn't even be like a relationship in that sense. So we're probably one of the only creatures on the planet that actually try to do this, and I think that the intentions are good, but what ends up happening is someone just goes, this is just not enough. All right, so let me get into some of the stories. Coach Matt, can you help me, please? My ex dumped me over 3 weeks ago, and I'm really going through it. I've never felt this low. We were together for 9 months. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but reading the internet now, I was too needy. Well, that's always the case. The idea that a man in a relationship being needy is pretty much attraction repellent for women. I would add that I don't really like when women are overly needy, but some men don't seem to mind. I can be better now. Well, you can't go back in time and tell her that. What happened was that she wanted me to give her cousin a ride to the airport and then pick her up from work. Okay. This is a unique situation here. She has no car currently. I told her I couldn't because I just couldn't leave work. Okay, that seems like a fair reason. I offered to pay for an Uber for her. She got upset but accepted, and then demanded I pay for her cousin to get an Uber too. I said no immediately. That's not my cousin. She got pissed and said she was done. Okay, so this is one of those things. If you've only been together 9 months, and this is the way your girlfriend negotiates or argues with you, where she basically goes from asking you to do a favor, something for her, you have a reason that's reasonable not to do it for her, and then you go out of your way to appease her, even though she's being catty or bratty in some ways, which I don't even think that you needed to have to get her an Uber, but that was a nice thing to do. The fact that she's demanding that you pay for her cousins and you don't want to, now she's being unreasonable. Now the thing about this is you're 9 months into this relationship. This kind of behavior, it's a playbook. She's going to do it again and again and again. So the minute that if she says she was done and then you go, oh, immediately I'll pay for the cousin, then she knows what she needs to do to get you to do it again. So just be cognizant of that. So that night I came home, bought her In-N-Out, which is her favorite. In-N-Out is a fast food burger place in America. So if anyone doesn't know that, so that's very romantic of you to buy her a fast food hamburger. I explained that I was sorry, but I didn't need to take care of her cousin, whom I barely know, in that way. I would agree. I would agree with you. The fact that you offered to get her an Uber was very kind of you. The fact that she's demanding that you get one for her cousin too, I don't think I would. I certainly wouldn't feel obligated to do it. And if I was pushed into doing it, I would be, I would hold that against her. She ate the food and ignored while texting her friends. So she accepted your gift, but she continued to ignore you. I think at 25 years old, she's acting really immature. I'd agree. I'm 33 and I don't remember acting this way at her age. Well, I mean, it's a different situation probably. The next morning, she continued to ignore me. That's when I broke down and told her if it means that much to her, I'll pay for her cousin's ride next time just to stop this ignoring game. So right when you did that, you folded, you gave in, and she could go a few different routes. She could go, okay, now I know how to get my way, but she also probably lost respect for you. I don't agree with the ignoring thing, but you don't want to reward it. That's when she looked at me in the eye and said, it doesn't matter now. I've shown her who I am. I can't be counted on for shit. Well, this is a little deep for turning down giving a ride to her cousin. I think she's being a bit extreme. I responded with, that's not true, and I went on to list all the great things I've done for her while she rolled her eyes. She then left and sent me things. And when I went on a list of all the great things I've done for her while she rolled her eyes, she then left and sent me text two hours later saying that she was going to break up with me and that I just didn't see things the way she did, not sure what she meant. Now it's been 3 weeks. She's texted me a few times, actually being kind, then asking me for a ride or for money. Then I ask if I give you this ride, what are we here? So the English is a little off here. What are we if I give you this ride? So she's negotiating a relationship over getting rides. It's pretty petty. It's pretty low. Writing out your story is important because now you can see exactly what's going on here and how pathetic it is. She then blasts me for being selfish because you're not giving her rides. I've picked her up once from work, but it was strange. She was nice in text, then cold in the car, then gives me a kiss on the cheek when she leaves. And when I text her the next day, she doesn't respond for 5 hours. Well, this is one of those simple situations where it seems like your feelings are a 10 and her feelings are about a 5 or a 4. And she's actually manipulative. So if she's getting in the car, if she's being nice to you, then you give her a ride and she ignores you, and then she gives you a kiss, she's playing with you. I call it cat pawing. She's just playing with you like a cat plays with a ball or something, right? She's just playing a little game with you, and it's actually probably joyful for her. And the whole time you're sitting there going, why did she do that? What's this? Don't even deal with this shit. This is going to go on and on. If this, at 25 years old, if this is her behavior 9 months into the relationship, this is how she's always going to act. It's selfish. It's immature. Do you want to deal with it? Are you capable of meeting another individual that's equal or higher value? Then I ask her, what are we here for? She then blasts me. I've picked her up. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost my place here. Now I still miss her, obviously, or you wouldn't write this. I think I can afford to get her a cheap used car that might solve the problem. I could surprise her with it. You know what? I bet she'd be happy with that, but she'd still treat you the same. She'd still treat you like a chump, and she'd still be looking for ways to take advantage of you financially and how you can help her out. This is called one-way traffic, and you are going to be used down the road, it sounds like. But I bet she would maybe give you a couple kisses on the cheek. Or it sounds like a type of individual, if you got her a car, she'd go, oh, that's not the car I wanted, but I'll take it. This is one of those situations where you're blindly not seeing that you're way more into her than she is, and she's holding the puppet strings. But I would like to applaud you for the fact that you didn't cave in on giving that cousin a ride because work comes first, right? What do you think? I just told you I want her back at this point, and I think that would fix the problem. Getting her a car would fix the problem short term, but like I said, with her attitude, it just sounds like she's not that into you, right? What's up, Jamie G? What's up, Oscar? What's up, Rob? She's just not that into you. And sometimes people don't realize, they can't see it. And there's never a relationship where both sides are 100% in, 1,000% in, where someone's like, oh, I'm here and I'm there. There's always someone that cares a little less. But when it's like her feelings for you are like a 4 and yours are a 10, you got to get out of that because you're gonna get used, and it sounds like you already are. Have you ever been in one of these situations, Aleph?
For long distance?
No. Have you ever had a woman try to use you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? What? How did you get used?
I don't want to talk bad about her, but yeah.
Nobody knows who you're talking about, so I think it's fair to say we're not going to judge that.
Okay, it's like it's about the money things.
About money.
Yes.
So look, he's shamed in talking about this right now.
Yeah.
It's shameful, huh?
Yeah.
Because she kept asking you for money.
She not that kept that asking me for money, but it's like for some reason she really need money, and yeah.
Was it for a reason that you thought was valuable? Like that you were like, oh, I understand, I'll give you the money, or you just didn't have the money to give?
I have money to give, but it's like she had a reason to need it because on that time she would like to start to run some small business, and she left about 1,000 or 2,000 on that time.
She needed 1,000 or 2,000 baht,
Yep.
which is about $60 for people that don't know what that is. So, and you just said no?
I say yes, but I cannot give you as a 2,000.
So you felt bad giving it.
Yeah.
You didn't feel good. I think that's one of the things that you have to do is if you give your girlfriend money, your partner money, your wife money, you have to look at it like my pleasure. Like there's no strings attached to it. You don't owe me later on.
I feel that because it's like I could feel that she is not that be serious with me on that time, and I feel like why do I gotta help a girl
That's not serious about you.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really your girlfriend, or you just weren't together that long?
We are not together that long. That was my worst relationship.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the moment, but even right now, you look like you're like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And what happened? Did you want the money back? Did you expect her to pay you back?
I didn't expect, but she paid me back actually.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's important. I think it's one of those situations though. You need to know when you start out a relationship, if your partner or who you're with is financially down or really in trouble or in debt,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have, the closer you get, if you're in a good place financially, you are gonna get hit up for money,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of those things where how far do you want to take it, right? Like it's like the worst part is like if you're with someone like that and you're like, I just don't have the extra money.
Yeah.
Then it creates a problem, right? Then it's like, okay. But the other thing is like then you have, when you start lending people money, you're like, what are you actually using this shit for? Mm-hmm. So she was using it to start a small business.
Mm-hmm.
And did you believe in the small business?
I don't really believe, but she could make it.
But you didn't believe in her making it in that business. Like if you were like, all right, this is gonna work. You were like, I don't know if this is gonna work.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. Because if you're gonna lend someone money for a business, you got to think like, it doesn't mean that I expect a guarantee or certainty, but I should have confidence. Like, no, I think Matt could do this. I think Aleph could do this. I think my girl could do this if she puts her head to it. But if you're like already in the beginning, like, I don't know, she's got the work ethic for this. She's not gonna put this together. If you're saying that in your head, you're already gonna be negative at everything she does, right? So it's not gonna be a good look, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got Mr. Slamming 123. What's up, buddy? How you been? The guy in the email need to have more respect for themselves. All right, Maverick. G money, status, rides, you name it. Or I mean, Jamie G. Money, status, rides, you name it. And I've seen a woman try to use me for it. Most recent was my ex trying to get me to cover her vehicle insurance. Well, you know what? It's always a choice when you say no. I haven't had in my relationships too many times where I felt used. I don't think there's ever been a time where I felt used for money. The times that I've given money to a girlfriend or whatnot, It's not one of those things where I'm like regretful or wondering about it. But I would say that if you're feeling like I shouldn't be doing this, or you got like a weird gut feeling when you give the money, then you should check yourself. And if it starts in the beginning, it's not going away. If that individual, in like the first 9 months, they're hitting you up for random stuff, and if it's petty things, you really got to look at that, right? I've been great, Coach. Thanks for all your help. I hope you have. I've been good, Mr. Slamming. I've been really, really good. Are you back out in the dating game right now, or what? I think when we left off, you had just had a good weekend, and that was putting you back on deck. So I hope that's good, man. Hazel Chavez, a girl that is not attracted by a man, usually she knows how the man wants her, so she uses for her advantage, but usually guys will know and continue to see how far they can get. A girl that is not attracted by a man, usually she knows how the man wants her. Interesting way to put it. So she uses for her advantage, but usually guys will know and continue to see how far they can get. So you're saying that guys know that a woman's trying to use them for money, but they don't mind in some cases? I think that's actually true. I remember I had a friend, I was like, look, I wouldn't be giving her a bunch of money and whatnot and this and that. And he goes, Max, sometimes you want to be fooled. I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. So, I mean, everyone has their own this is one of those things where me as a breakup coach, I really enjoy what I do, but it doesn't what's interesting about what I do, it doesn't transfer over to friends and family. So you'd think that someone would be like, someone that respects what I do or the advice that I give or my channel. Friends and family, it doesn't work the same. It's like, don't be telling me what to do. Don't try to be my coach. Because some people do not want advice. They know they're doing wrong. They know they're in a bad relationship and they don't want to be told. And that's why yesterday, if you heard me on the marathon live stream before I talked to this guy, Talik, I think, was it Talik? The first caller? No, second caller. Talik. Yeah,
Talik.
From India, 21 years old, 4-year long-distance relationship, devastated. He said it's killing him. And that when someone gets really dramatic in the front part, I'm like, this is going to be difficult because they're so highly emotional. Sometimes they don't even want to listen. So if you look back yesterday, I said, hey, if you want to do the call-in on Skype, so Mr. Slamming, I'm doing call-ins through Skype too. So if you want to, anyone on deck, we got 10 on deck right now. If you want to get lined up and you got a story to tell, this is not one of those things just to say hello and get shots out, Mary. I want to talk about a story, or a story you're going through in a breakup or where you're at right now. So Talik yesterday, if you notice, I said, if you talk to me, you need to listen to me. Now you might be thinking, do you talk to everyone like that? No. When I do coaching, I always size up the situation differently. If someone's being extremely emotional, maybe needy, dramatic in some cases, and they're 21 years old, in that particular situation, they need a little bit more guidance and direct advice. Someone that's maybe in their mid to late 30s, that's been through a few things, they're not going to be needed to be directed as much, I think. And so yesterday, yeah, the guy Talik, he's just going through his first serious breakup. And it's one of those things, she's not going to come back anytime soon. She went away to college, and he's got to learn some things about attraction all over again. Yes, I've been dating, but nothing serious yet. I'm more focused on me and my career, but I'm still enjoying life. Good for you, man. That's a great answer. I'm happy for you. Another round of call-ins, let's get it. If someone's got an interesting story to share, yeah. If someone wants to get into a situation like we did yesterday, I'm happy to do calls. I enjoyed that a lot. Even though it was 5 hours, you might be thinking, how can you handle something like that? I actually enjoy it. I have a sickness for breakups. So if someone wants to line up a situation and they want to talk on Skype about it, I'm open to it. And I'll be doing this pretty much daily. Might be different times sometimes. But let's get into the next story. Hey, Coach, what's the craziest breakup story you've seen? Just curious. This starts the story. Some of them you can't share. Well, let me think for a moment. Craziest? There's been many, but it takes a long time to go through them with you guys. I've talked about them on the live streams before, too. Well, let me come back to that. I got to think about it for a moment. I'm just wondering if people have had worse than me. Oh, trust me, they have. Whenever someone asks me that, I just know right away that they somehow want to win the worst breakup Olympics, and I don't even think that's a good place to be. So, my husband of 10 years just left me for my son's best friend's mom. That's pretty bad. My husband of 10 years just left me for my son's best friend's mom. Could you imagine that, Aleph?
Wow.
That's pretty dirty. I've actually heard of that before, but they didn't find out. There was actually a close family friend that was older told me one time, he was like, yeah, he used to have an affair with his son's one of his son's best friend's moms. And he said they did it for years when the guy was out of town on hunting trips. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to say his son's name, but he was like, no one ever knew, no clue of it, and it was done for years. It's like some of these cheating stories you hear, people are just oblivious to it. It's kind of crazy. The crazy part, I had no clue till they both invited me to a private lunch to break the news. I believe they made a public place, hoping I wouldn't make a scene. I would not break the news about cheating on a 10-year marriage in a public place. That seems dirty. I threw water in his face and spit in hers. I wouldn't normally say this in this situation, but good for you. In some ways, our marriage has been stale and boring, but this is how marriage with kids is, right? You know what? I think there's moments, but I think if you accept it, there'll be more moments like that. So the idea when people go, oh, marriage is supposed to be boring and sexless, and this is just how it is. This is how my parents were. If you're going to accept that, that's what you're going to get. The idea when I hear people from the outside talking that go, oh, you have to date your wife and you have to make an effort. Sometimes that doesn't work either. So you need to find your sweet spot. I mean, sometimes people are just tired of each other. It's like if you ordered the same food for 10 years at breakfast, like eggs and bacon. Some people can do that, and some other people it doesn't work. Everyone that I know that's married complains about the boredom and the lack of intimacy. Okay, well, that's going to affect you too, because you're gonna feel like, oh, everyone's doing what I'm doing. This is the right way. I'm okay with it. Maybe that's the problem. The fact that you're okay with it. I just put our kids first, and that's enough for me. That's enough for you, but not enough for him. My husband and I stopped sleeping together 2 years ago, and he said he couldn't function or perform like he used to, so let's just give it a rest. Okay. So we do different things, but over the last year, it really fell off to nothing. The reality is you haven't said what your age is, but it sounds to me like he lost attraction in you, but he didn't want to get a divorce. And I've heard of this before, actually. I've actually talked about the craziest story. I've probably mentioned this on the live stream before, but there was an individual that they weren't sleeping together for 2 years. I think he was about 51. She was probably around the same age. And he said they were actually, it was about 2 years they didn't sleep together. No one knew this, of course. And she just said she did no longer like to sleep with him. I was like, you just accepted that as okay? And he ended up finding out that she was sleeping or seeing her boss, who was a financial advisor of some sort, and she was his secretary. And the way he found out is he put a tape recorder in her purse, or like a phone tape recording in her purse. So then when she went out to lunch and she was in a conversation with him, she had it all recorded, and they were talking about hooking up, and she actually was making jokes about him and how she doesn't sleep with him anymore. So she actually was putting him down to the other guy, which was crushing. So they were pretty much done at that point. Basically, if you're in a marriage and you stop sleeping together for 2 years, don't be surprised if someone cheats on you.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well be friends. The idea that you put your kids first, yeah, that sounds admirable. That sounds nice. But don't be surprised if the other person takes off. Again, talking to friends, I thought this happens in marriages, and I even told him a couple times, let's work on this. So you did make an effort. We can't go and talk to some doctor. He brushed it off as no big deal. So I mean, the reason he probably brushed it off as no big deal is he was probably seeing someone. So now I can see he was getting it all along. Who knows if it was all along, but at some point, yeah, I feel betrayed, and the woman he's with now is a total floozy. Haven't heard that word in a long time. She's been married multiple times and seems to dress like she's advertising to be a street hooker. That's a good description. Obviously, you're biased. You know what? Some people would probably be attracted to someone that dresses like that if they haven't had sex in 2 years with their wife. I can't believe he went for her. I haven't even seen a lawyer yet, but he says he's ready to proceed with the divorce. Well, I would say this. Get out there and get your 3 lawyers interviewed and go on offense. Don't be a victim here. I'm not sure I'm ready. I don't think you really have a choice whether you're ready or not. I mean, he's ready to proceed. He's told you that he's seeing someone else. I don't think there's any negotiation to be a reconciliation to get back together. I mean, should we try to make it work? I think no, not at this point. I don't think so. But then I think no, we can't. No way can we. How do I get to a place where I can stop hating him and not let my kids see my anger? Well, I would talk to you in a live coaching session and fully unpack things. You need to get a lot out. You've been in a marriage for 10 years. There's a lot of cobwebs probably there. There's a lot of things hiding. And you need to talk about it. And talk about it in a long-form format. What do I mean by that? An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Get everything out. And that's what I do in a live coaching session. And even if you're done with the person, you still have stuff. And then he did this, and then I did this. You need to get all that out. The other thing is when you hate someone, I like hypnotherapy as an option. I like the emotional freedom technique as an option. Those are things that I help people with also. Coach, what time is it where you're at? It is 10:36 a.m. Mila Furhatovic, welcome. Rob, where do you stay at? Like, what state? Okay. I actually remember you telling that story. Thanks, Todd. Ha is a butterfly. 10 years. 10 years, yeah. It happens, right? It happens, though. All right, let me get into the next story, which is the long-distance situation. I'm 21. I'm 29, and my ex is 31. We have been together for over 4 years. It's been long distance since the beginning. See, this is where there's a problem. I talked about this earlier. I don't find it very beneficial to start relationships at a long distance point. I don't know if you even get to the point of a full connection. We see each other about once a month. I think once a month can make things work, but it shouldn't be for 4 years. I mean, if you think about it, for 4 years, you're together for 4 years. You see each other 12 times a year. 12 times 4 would be 44, 88? 88 times in 44 years, and that's your relationship. Well, I mean, maybe you see each other in a few more days. Bottom line, it's not enough. I always go to see her as she can't afford the flights to see me. Well, that says something about your relationship, that you're making more of an effort. You might just think of it as, oh, she can't afford, but if she really wanted to see you or where you live, she would make the effort. We live a 4-hour plane ride away from each other. So if it's a 4-hour plane ride, she could take the train, take the bus. I think that if you're in a long-distance relationship and you're a 4-hour plane ride away, at some point it's a little suspect if someone doesn't want to come see you and where you live and what you're doing. Don't you think? Everything has worked out well as we talk on the phone daily, and we even allow each other to see other people just to be safe about it is our agreement. I never ask details. Okay, so that right there is fine, but it's not an exclusive relationship, and you're basically opening the door wide open for the opportunity for them to meet someone else that's present. So even though you have a lot of trust and it's working out, and the fact that you're okay with that, fine. I just would say that this isn't going to, it's gone on 4 years. Go for you. I don't think it's going to go on for 10 years or 8 years or 7 years. At some point, someone's going to meet someone else that's present. It's just plain as day. Well, recently she told me she really likes this other guy she's been seeing on Tinder. I said, our rules, we don't need to share details. It's okay. She continued on that this guy knows about me and has asked her to make a choice as he doesn't agree with our arrangement. Then she giggled and said, I'm going to have to choose him as he can give me more of his time. Notice if she giggled, that just says she doesn't take your relationship that serious. I erupted and said she knew our arrangement and she was breaking it. Well, arrangements can be broken. They're not set in stone, dude. She said, I thought at some point you'd want to move out here and make more of an effort. See, this is one of those situations where you think all is well, all is good, and then you get to the point where like the other person's been hinting, maybe made some insinuations, and you kind of just went, oh yeah, it's fine the way it is. We can't be long distance forever. That's what she said. And let's be honest, we've been seeing other people, so we are sort of friends with benefits, right? I hung up on her. So this is where you had a different clarification of the relationship. That's okay, but now you're getting clarity, dude. Crystal clear clarity. She's saying it's friends with benefits, long distance, and you thought you were in a serious relationship that was non-monogamous. I called back the next days. My hands were shaking before I called. My emotions were still high. I said, I've booked a flight. I'm going to come see you for a week. I've cleared some time. I'll check out apartments and look into jobs over there. So now that this hammer's dropped, you somehow think that you're going to overcompensate, and now you're willing to move over there and look into things. That's not going to work. You've already built a case over the years that you weren't willing to commit. You've already allowed each other to see other people, which opens the door for someone meeting someone else. And she's been active on Tinder while you're together, and you only see each other once a month. No bueno. That's something that you're allowed to accept, but I don't think you should be shocked or surprised here. So in the future, at 29 years old, if you want to start another relationship, just know what you don't want to do next time. If you want an open relationship, that's fine, but an open relationship's always susceptible to something like this, and this is why she's giggling. She responded, it's too late. I don't even know if it's too late. She could have just been comfortable with this situation. Some people like a situation like this. And then I went silent. I don't know what to say. I just screamed some mean-ass things. She laughed a bit and hung up. Now, some people out there might be thinking like, wow, she laughed at you. But that's how some people and some cultures handle anger or bad situations. That's just a way of coping mechanism in some ways. Why the laugh, I thought? I just told you. We haven't talked in a month. I don't really believe I can chase her at this point. No, that's not going to work. You moving there is not going to work. She's made a decision that she likes someone more than you that's present. It's pretty hard to compete with. And you going over there is going to completely turn her off. Is there any angle I can get her back? I thought about just showing up and surprising her. What's your take? I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's going to open things up for you in any way. You're in a situation now. She's already made a decision. If you wanted to continue to be friends with benefits and be casual, I think she'd be open to that. But this idea that you're in a serious relationship, I think you had a misconception here, and you need to rethink in the future the parameters and boundaries you want to have in a relationship. And I would say, wouldn't it be nice if you were in a relationship that someone was present and they maybe lived within 30 minutes away from you and you could see it more often? Wouldn't that be a great alternative to the situation now? Is that possible? And if that's possible, and right now you're hurting and you miss this individual, you're probably going to need some time to lick your wounds and heal a bit. But that's the gold medal that you're looking for. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, folks, on the live stream, we got 11 on deck. We got 8 likes. I appreciate it. I really do. She disclosed she's on Tinder. Many wouldn't. Interesting. not necessarily open minds with open hearts. It's too bad things go astray like this. I do hope to marry sometime in life, but I just don't think there are too many people that respect the sanctuary of marriage anymore. So you're not going to get married because of other people's views? Is that what you're saying? Just let her go. Date other people. I wouldn't focus on her. That's an interesting statement. You're saying that because other people don't respect the sanctuary of marriage anymore. I just don't think there are too many people. But you are one that respects the sanctuary of marriage. And you are one that, so there's other people that would. I think that what gets lost in marriage is the fact that there's no guarantee. Someone goes, oh yeah, I'll be with you till death do us part. I'll make a promise in public. We can have wedding cake. We can have a party. We can do all this. We can do that. I'll be here for you forever. The list goes on. And then something happens. Life changes, new jobs, new people. And then that covenant or that sanctuary of marriage changes. And that's the reality. I don't think that people are as locked in to just deal with everyone else's shit. And so you're right. There's less people that are down to respect the sanctuary of marriage, I guess you could say. But whenever you're getting married, you're always taking the chance that someone can go back on their word. The idea that when someone says to death do us part, right? What does that even mean? I mean, that's a pretty long contract to sign up for. The part that they don't get is they go, till death do us part, except if you lose your job, except if you start emotionally cheating on me, except if you don't show me enough attention, except if you stop sleeping with me, except if you, like, you don't go through all the things that could change that agreement, right? So that's where it really differs. That's where it really gets tricky. And I think that people somehow believe like, oh yeah, you just have to get through it. Well, there's exceptions to why. There's reasons. There's concrete reasons people bail on marriages. And I think that in the past, more people went, well, we're married, so I can't leave. You know, I've had relatives that have been in abusive relationships, and because they're married, oh, we can't leave because we're married. We have to work it out. I don't know if that's a good thing. Because you're married, you're allowed. You somehow have to work through something that is pretty much non-acceptable most of the time in most of regular culture. Psh. Well, Coach, I live in a small community, and to my knowledge, I don't see healthy relationships here anymore. Maybe I'm just a bit bitter because my ex left me for a married border patrol. Wow. Border patrol. Left you for a married border patrol. Wow, that's interesting. More inclined to just be long-term monogamous because I know I'm not willing to get through everything. Well, there's advantages and disadvantages, I suppose, to getting married. It's never been something that I feel inclined to do, but I think you can change your mind. I think you can be open-minded to getting married if you meet the right person at the right time in your life. I think you just don't need to put the pressure on it that, like, it's still not a guarantee. You still can both say, I'm done at some point. That's completely fine. Border Patrol people make money? I didn't know that. I've never heard that before. All right, 15 are on deck. We're at 45 minutes. I had 3 stories down. Does anyone want to do a call in through Skype? If not, it's okay. I'll cut the live stream short and maybe come back on later on. Nope, no one today, Aleph. Everyone's scared.
So do you think is long distance relationship, is it work or not work? It depends on that
Any long
couple,
distance
right?
relationship or the one I talked about?
Yes.
The one I talked about?
Yeah.
No, that won't work because the individual is way more serious than the other person. That's the problem with most of those things. The long distance, someone gets tired of being alone. Would you want to be in a long distance relationship?
I could not stand about 6 months, to be honest.
Have you been in one?
Yeah, just 1 month.
You were in 1 month long. Yeah, 1 month, and it's one of those things. It's like, oh, let's make a FaceTime date. Let's talk for like an hour, 2 hours, and I can talk, but like it's like
It cannot fulfill all the happiness that we want because we want like to hug, to touch, but it cannot fulfill in that emotion. So
no.
yeah,
I think some people like it better than others, and if you're gonna make it open on other ends, LDOs are backup relationships. For some people are very into them. I've known people. Being a teacher, I worked with a couple different teachers that were in them, and one of them, she was very conservative. She had met her boyfriend on I think it was, I don't want to say a camping trip, some kind of tour trip. He was from England, she's from the Philippines, and she lived in Thailand. She was teaching, and he went back to England, and they talked on the phone every night. She said for hours. I was like, wow. And this guy was cool. I mean, he was I think he was a few years older than her by like 10, like I don't know, 10 years maybe. I don't know about exactly. He came to visit a couple times for a couple weeks. Really nice guy, and their relationship seemed sincere. I think they continued on the long distance for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then they got married, and she moved to England. It doesn't mean she isn't seeing anyone locally, but it also doesn't mean that she isn't being loyal, Azam. So it could go both ways. She was extremely loyal, very conservative person, and who says that he's not seeing someone else? Absolutely. It's one of those things that you got to go into it with an open mind and a lot of high security into the relationship and trust. But I think that, like I said, the ones that work, you definitely have to meet in person first. The crazy one is the people that meet online and then turn it into a long distance relationship right from the get-go. It's pretty bad because you don't even get to see each other. I come across those all the time.
so work is not work. It depend on that person, right? In each couple.
It's always going to be, it's basically, you're always at an uphill battle. In other words, I don't know the stats. I haven't done data on this. I haven't done a study on this. But long distance relationship, the odds are probably against you that it's going to work out. The longer it lasts, the odds are more against you. But can it work? Sure. I think there are exceptions. But it usually means that you were together prior to for a couple years or a few months. You met in person. You had a honeymoon phase. And it has to do with each other's values. And I'll add one more thing. I talked about this before. What environment are you moving into, and what environment are they moving into? If they're moving into a boring environment that doesn't have a lot of options, then they'll probably stay with the long distance. If they're moving into an environment that provides a lot of other options and a lot of interest, they're more likely to stray. So that's going to be a big difference, and people don't look at that. If someone moves to New York City compared to moving to Montana or Mongolia or something that there's not as many people, then there's a chance of them hanging on longer, I think. So I might have one more story I haven't gone through yet. Let me see here. Since we don't have call-ins today, we just have the usual suspects. There's going to be...
Because yesterday we have live stream about 11, right?
11 call-ins?
Yeah.
No. I think it was 4 or 5.
No, I mean when we start live stream yesterday.
You mean 11 people on?
We start at 11 o'clock.
Oh, we started later.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, because on that time...
10:30.
Yeah, about that time.
It was 10:30, I think, actually. It was 10:30. Yeah, you're right. It was a different time frame.
So now in Thailand it's 10:53.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
I saw someone asking what time is it in here.
Yep. It is the morning time, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a morning person. Which you aren't, right, Aleph?
For a morning person?
Yeah.
Oh, actually I am. I am. But
Stuttering. I am a morning person. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I have this other one.
I can tend to be a morning person after I drink a coffee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
All right.
Okay. Speak some more Thai.
Nah, I mean, it's... You want to learn Thai, Skinner?
10:54, which mean in Thai is 10:54 นาที
Okay, that's useful.
Yeah.
All right.
So 8:55 in Las Vegas. So
8:55 in Las Vegas. I think what I'm going to do, since the stream went down a little bit right now, I'm going to come back on. If someone else wants to line up a live coaching on the Skype, we'll do it. But otherwise, we're up at an hour right now. It's 11 p.m. here. Well, there you go, Jamie G. Good for you. 11 p.m. at Minnesota, right? I think it was. Had people all over yesterday. It's kind of interesting, though. I thought about it yesterday. I don't know if I would have wanted to, when I was going through a bad breakup, call a radio show or a podcast or something and talk live about it. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to do that?
It depends on that guy would like to share in public or not, actually.
Even though for me, I don't know if I would have been willing to do it. Even though you're being anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're still thinking to yourself, like yesterday, the guy that came on, David Price, that's like his real name. Like he was just like, I'm fine with it. He had a tough story.
Yeah, it depends on who okay to tell their own story.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Have a good day at work or something. I don't know if I would be like 1,000% on, like, to be, you know what I mean? I don't know if I would have. But then again, to get advice when you're going through it from someone outside is extremely, extremely valuable compared to your friends and family if you're just going through it. The amount of people, like yesterday, I was talking to that guy, he's like, I haven't been leaving the house. That's rule number one. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the big reasons he had trouble with that, I think. All right, folks, I'm going to come back on later on, and we'll continue the Breakup podcast. Today was long-distance relationships. On Instagram, there will be a schedule this week of times. And like I said, we will be taking calls from Skype. I might be coming back on later on. I don't have an exact time, but I'll post it for you. I might even come back on later on this evening, probably 8 p.m. Indochina time or 7:30 Indochina time. All right, folks, it's curtains. It's been good. It's been grand. Take it easy.
Ride safe, Assam.